So this is the handover for the WildAx Pulsar. This one's based on the Fiat 9-speed automatic. We will start off at the front of the vehicle. You have a toolkit located underneath the passenger seat. Underneath the passenger floor, you have your access panel for your engine battery, and on the end of the passenger dashboard, your bonnet release. When you lift the bonnet, there's a lever centrally located. Over on the extreme left-hand side, you have your screen washer. Located underneath this accessible panel is the access for your radiator water and your brake fluid. This has electric assisted steering. Oil filler is done from here. It's an electronic oil dipstick which registers on the dashboard. Because of the position of the engine battery, should you need to jump start it, then the positive goes behind that cover there and attaches, and then the negative goes up onto this bolt position here for jump starting. Your gas fill point for your LPG tank is located here. Underneath the vehicle you have your gas tank, and on the rear side of that gas tank you have the access point for isolating the gas if you may be doing a ferry crossing. Ventilation at the back for the fridge. If you're operating it on gas, I'd advise that you keep the kitchen window shut, stop any potential monoxide fumes going back into the van. You have your electrical point here as well. So connect up first of all to the side of the vehicle and then onto your sight post. Spare wheels mounted higher onto the back, and that's because you've got your wastewater tank which is insulated underneath the back. On the passenger rear side of the vehicle you've got your gas point here. We've left the toggle ready for you to use on your gas barbecue. Then you've got your exhaust vent for your water room heating system, and then the freshwater filler cap located just there. Use the small silver key and fill up. There's an internal gauge to tell you when it's full. And the drain point from that insulated tank is located just under there. Your electric sliding step is located just inside the sliding door. And it's a two-handed operation for your fly screen, and there's one on each sliding side. Your control panel is located above the kitchen unit, so you have a switch down the bottom left hand side to turn on the control. There's a brief bleep whilst it sets itself up. Switches across the top of the panel include your 12 volt water pump, your awning light, and then the rest of your interior lights. You can adjust the brightness of the control panel. Program settings allow you to change things like functions like the colour of the interior display as well as the time, and then a fresh water level and battery level indicator for both the engine battery and habitation battery. You have an onboard gas tank. The gas isolation valves for the individual appliances are located below the fridge. When you first come to use the appliance, it's worthwhile using a gas match. There's no igniter on these, just to purge the gas through. Avoid letting the onboard gas tank drain out completely because that can create a vacuum. And also note there's no isolator valve on these lids, so make sure that this has been switched off and cooled sufficiently before you close the lid down. Oven and grill. Make sure that there's any flammable materials that you might have used in travelling are removed. I probably suggest that you travel without that in position as well to stop some of the rattles. Turn the dial anti-clockwise for the oven operation. It's an electronic igniter. Hold it in for a couple of seconds and let it burn through, and then it's the opposing direction clockwise for your grill. The water system on this vehicle, you have underslung tanks which are insulated for winterization. As well as being insulated, the exterior tanks also have their own tank heaters which can be turned on above the sliding door. When you're first setting up the water supply, you will need to make sure that the drain valve is shut on the water heater. With the water pump switched on, draw your water through the system. Initially on the cold supply, if you're filling the hot water heater for the first time, you will have to purge water through from not just on the kitchen sink but on the shower and vanity unit as well. So you end up with a continuous supply of cold water before you go about heating the system. The water heater drain valve is down the side of the hot water tank. When it's lifted into the vertical position, it allows the content of the water heater to drain out for winterization and winter storage. In the horizontal position, you can reprime the water unit. You have a trimmer water heater. When you first turn the system on, you'll see these indicators come up along the top. First indicator is for your room temperature setting, so select on that one and you can turn it from an off up to your desired centigrade room temperature. Whilst it's trying to achieve that setting, you'll notice that the top symbol up here will start to flash. Once it becomes solid and stolic, it suggests that the room temperature has been set. If you want to turn the setting down, just go back into the function and reduce the temperature accordingly. Water heater system is a similar setup. So you select onto the water symbol gauge and you can set it to an eco mode, hot mode, or you can boost the water heating temperature. By selecting it onto the hot, again, you'll likely see that the top symbol begins to flash as it tries to attain that temperature setting. Moving over to the next position, and that's your choice of power. So you have a pure gas mode drawing supply from the onboard gas tank. If you are plugged in onto the mains, you can use it either on a low or a higher wattage 240 volt element. And then in colder climates, perhaps you can use it on a mix setting of either electric and the lower level electric and gas setting, or the high level electric and gas mode. Fan controls can be used either in isolation just for recirculating airflow around, or for boosting the air temperature circulation. Having set up the time clock, you can then go into a timer function itself and set it up so that the unit cuts in and cuts out and heats water or room heating, whichever is desired. However, this is an iNet model, and therefore you can download an app onto a smartphone and control the heater and water heating settings from there. Dometic toilet, so lift up the seat. It's the seat that actually swivels itself, and then pull forward on the slider to let your waste go straight through. The flush controls are to the left of the seat. The center button allows you to flush the water. The control displays around those units will tell you whether the cassette is loaded in properly, whether or not the cassette is either half full or completely full, or running low on water. With the cassette slider properly shut inside, you should be able to lift up on the green tab and then draw the whole body of the cassette out. On a campsite, you have collection points for these to go into, so you remove the black cap completely, tip the whole cassette up and depress the green button on the top like so, and that allows the airflow to go in and the waste to come out the base of the cassette. Before you load it back in, dose of green chemical or a sachet of green chemical for the Highlands, mixed with about 2 litres of water, and then swirl that back in before you load it back in. There is a travel handle, so you can use the wheels on the cassette to pull it around. Load the whole body of the cassette back in, it should dock back into position automatically. You have a 3-way fridge. At the moment we've got it set up on the mains position, but if you turn it back to the top position, that turns it off. Your 12 volt mode only operates from the engine alternator when the vehicle is in transit to sustain the temperature within the fridge. The gas operation, turn it through to the 6 o'clock position, push in on your thermostat and use the piezo igniter to allow the gas to come through like so. Hold it in for a couple of seconds and you should see then that the needle stays within the green zone. The seating configuration can be changed inside the van, so you can set it up as a couch by pulling this one forward completely, removing the cushion off of the backboard and then down like so. And then the cushion, which is stowed in the back of the kitchen area, can go against the back wall like so. To take it from couch to bed, remove the backrest in the first instance. Use the other lever to bring the cushion forward. You can, if you want to, try and leave this in situ, but I think it works better if it's that way round. hinge the whole front section of this cushion up, and then with the slots lined up and the second cushion lifted into position, you should be able to sit that framework down and then collapse the cushions back into position like so, and then use the backrest again, and it sits between the two sections and is supported by the black frame. And there's your double bed. Located underneath the forward facing passenger seat behind the driver's seat, you have all of your mains electrical equipment. So you have your battery charger, your fuse box, your RCD, and then the solar chargers, as well as the leisure battery. On your driver's door, you have your electric window and your electric mirror switches. Turn the toggle around, and then that will then control the position of the respective piece of glass. When the ignition is on and live, you will get your gas tank level indicator. Below that, you have your headlamp beam, rear fog lamp, and the ability to turn off the stop-start facility. Your cab, steering wheel controls and stalks. The right-hand stalk is for the wiper operation. The left-hand stalk has your lights and main beam, so you can turn the outer stalk on and then select main beam from there. On your steering wheel controls, you have your mobile phone as well as menu option access for changing and reading speedometer and your level indicators. Over on the right hand side, your speed limiter and cruise control settings run from there. For the automatic 9-speed box, you have to make sure that your foot is on the brake clutch pedal and that your selector is put into the park mode before the vehicle will allow to start. Pull back on the lever for reverse, neutral and drive. Once in the drive mode, you can push the lever over and use it in a manual sequential mode, and then pull the lever back over to put it back into the drive setting. Centrally located at the base, you have your hazard light switch, your heated mirror switch, another central locking control, and the means of turning off the traction control system. The center button is for your radio display and turns the system on and off, and also acts as the volume control as well. It's a touch screen for all the other functions, so you have a central menu that you can choose for selecting any apps, and then for changing any dynamics on the vehicle, as well as optimizing your phone and radio and media connections as well. Ventilation controls. Temperature of the van is controlled on the end left-hand switch. There is an auto function that will give you a climate control type facility. You can focus your attention onto the windscreen vent as well as your air conditioning systems, and then change the positions of the ventilation around the inside of the vehicle using that switch. Master switch for the air conditioning, recirculation, and you can turn the whole system completely off from there, or increase or decrease the speed of the fan in a manual mode on that one as well. Low down, you have your media input, which you can utilize, and that will play up onto the head unit. There's USB and 12-volt charging located just here, as well as your main glove box. There is a smaller one which is connected up to the air conditioning system, gives you an effect of a mini fridge. The central blinds, make sure that when they are fully retracted that they are locked back into position with a firm click. And for the side blinds, again forward, they have a magnetic strip on the far end, and then again just gently ease them back and just make sure that they are locked back into position. When reverse is selected, it automatically engages your reversing camera and also decreases the volume on your radio. So that concludes the handover for your WildAx Pulsar. Sincerely hope that the van's going to give you lots of miles and lots of smiles, but if you do need to get hold of us, then do so via email, via phone. Thank you very much for watching.